welcome everybody to the Week 5/Week 6 CoMitchoner Report. We are finally back, we as in I. We'll go ahead and get into it with the dumpster fire. What this is, we've had enough time to kind of see how players are doing and kind of some busts. So we'll get right into it. We'll start with the first quarterback off the board of the dumpster fire episode is Russell Wilson. He was the first quarterback taken in the second round, and he has disappointed, to say the least. Currently, he is ranked, I think, 25th overall as far as the quarterbacks go. Obviously, that's not what I drafted him for. That's also including his Week 4, I think top 10 performance. Just kind of shows you how bad it's been. We'll see if that continues. I'm hoping, after the bye week, things change. Sticking in the NFC West, the other disappointment in the dumpster fire is Carson Palmer. Outside of Larry Fitzgerald, there's really nothing going on in that passing offense right now. It's all David Johnson, and that's just how it goes sometimes. The next one is Chuck's favorite, Eli Manning, the newly free agent Eli Manning. He's been just a big disappointment as well, also ranking outside the top 20. It even makes him hard for kind of bye week replacements. And the last one is Ryan Fitzpatrick. When you skip all of training camp, this is kind of what happens. Just the way it goes. And losing Eric Decker for the entire season, I'm sure, is not going to help his value anymore. So that's all the quarterbacks as of right now. Next up of the dumpster fire is the wide receivers. We'll do the tight ends and running backs next week, hopefully. I guess we'll start off with the highest ranking wide receiver that's been in the dumpster fire category, Odell Beckham. Obviously, it ties in with Eli Manning. You can't be the number 3 overall pick and not score touchdowns. Just doesn't work out that well. He is ranking right now outside the top 20, I believe, and that is definitely not what Jason drafted him for. The next pick of our draft was Hopkins, I believe, and he has performed equally as bad as Odell Beckham. Just everything's bad in that team. Osweiler he sucks. He can't play, and it's affecting Nuke and Lamar Miller as well. Just no touchdowns around. Will Fuller seems to be the only bright spot on that team. We'll see how long that lasts, or if it's just a Brian Quick moment. Next, we have the Kansas City favorite, Jeremy Maclin. Had a great year last year, and right now he is outside of the top 40. Not what I guessed would have happened with him. I kind of figured he'd kind of stay the course. I didn't think he'd really grow much, but I definitely didn't see a downside coming for him. And I guess another one, we kind of touched on the quarterback, but that directly involves Michael Floyd and John Brown. A lot of people had them kind of pegged as in for a big year this year, and neither one of them have done anything for you. Well, Michael Floyd helped me last week, but for a team that doesn't do you any good. And lastly is the perennial disappointment of Dez Bryant. Huge talent, just can't seem to stay healthy. And once again, he is not playing and not putting up points for anybody. So there's that. There's our first edition of the dumpster fire. Next week, like I said, we'll try to do the tight ends and running backs. Could be kind of fun. And so ending the dumpster fire segment and going into the dumpster fire team, we have the power rankings. And the dumpster fire team, the new one is Crotches of Fire. Very fitting with the fire theme. Dave is the new ranked 10 in the power rankings. Josh leapfrogged him with a win and just had a healthier point total, and that's kind of what happens. So in the 8th spot, we have Frank at 12. It was a bad performance last week. We'll see if he can change it around. Starting off slow like he normally does, and I'm sure he's aiming for a push towards the end of the season. At the number 7 spot, we have Mr. El Babito, MCP Pants. Peeing his pants and ruining his team. He actually had some good weeks these last 2 weeks, but unfortunately just couldn't get some wins, really. Well, he got one of them. Anyway, the number 6, the controversial ranking of the San Bernardino Thunderbirds. 6th in the power rankings, even though he's number 1 in his division, leading the division. However, when you win two games against 2 of the lowest scoring teams, and you were the 2nd lowest scoring team, that's just not very good for the power rankings, but hey, wins count, right? Next, at the 5 spot, we have Taco. Taco's always right there in the middle of everything. We'll see if he can win this week and even out his record at a 500. We'll find out. And the number 4 spot, the big drop. Reed's first cousins has held the number 1 spot all season long and has now dropped from 1 to 4. The week 1 explosion of points has kind of fallen to the wayside, and his point total has just dropped each and every week, it seems like. Injuries and players just have disappointed. The 3 spot goes to Joey Bosa, these nuts. Number 1 in that division, I believe, and number 3 in the power rankings. He has a 4-1 record right now. Had a down week last week, but the schedule gods helped him out, and he was still able to pull off a victory. Number 2 in the power rankings is the Newcomb High Cretans. Yeah, this guy started off 0-2 and now 3-2. I'm on to a decent run here. But I'm going to hit some heavy bye weeks, so I'm sure that record's not going to stay as clean, unfortunately. And the new number 1 is the Hyrule Heroes. Jason's boasting also a 4-1 record, tied record-wise with Mike. It's been a good season for him. The volatility index on him is low. It's under 10 points, which means he usually scores around the same amount of points every week. He's very consistent, which is a key to winning the whole thing. So congratulations to you, Jason. I'm sure you're happy right now with the way your team's performing. Speaking of Jason, we'll go ahead and get right into the game of the week and his weekly predictions. Go ahead and take it away, Jason.
And now it's time for Jason's predictions.
Hello, slow children. Welcome to week 6. Hello, Josh. Welcome to the season in general. Nice of you to join us finally, getting in that win column. We'll go ahead and start with your game. Josh versus Dave. Dave, don't really know what to say about your team. First couple weeks, it looked like you might be able to come in and make an impact and be a contender, and then the bottom fell out. Forte and Anderson just stopped performing, as well as the rest of your team. It's almost like you heard that we make the loser wear a dress, and it really tickled your fancy, so you're just like, I got to get in that league. So I really don't know what your motives are, but I got my eye on you now. And then as far as Josh, like I said, I alluded to that he got his first win. So I guess Tom Brady coming back really was the secret weapon. He's, had Zeke pretty much doing the whole amount of work the entire season. Now he's finally got someone to pair that up with, as well as what I can only assume is a fully healthy Jamal Charles coming back this week. So finally some pieces coming into place for Josh. So can't say that I wish him well, but I do think he will pick up a second win this week and not be in last place anymore. So there you go. Moving on, Ryan versus Bobbitt. Bobbitt is awful. Absolutely the worst team in the league. He's got a few monster players on his team, but they're only monsters in a few weeks. There's no consistency to his players. You got people like A.J. Green that can score 35 points one week and then single digits the next, and that's just not a winning formula. On the other side of the ball, you got Ryan, who's got a 4-1 record. He just came off of one of his best weeks. Mariota had 4 touchdowns. You got Blake Bortles, who is, not the best quarterback in the league, but he's been pretty consistently getting a couple touchdowns here and there. David Johnson, one of the best backs in the league. T.Y. Hilton will get you, pretty good few points. I think he had a pretty high week last week. I think he handles Bobbitt pretty easily this week also and advances to 5-1. Moving us along to the first of 2 Brother Bowls this week, myself versus Chuck. And for me, the last few weeks, it's been all Big Ben. Ever since Le'Veon Bell returned, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he draws Miami's defense this week. I think it's going to be a slaughter. Keep that going. And there's a new Jordan in Chicago, Jordan Howard. He's been a pretty vital piece to me stabilizing that running back position that had kind of given me some woes in the early weeks. And my wide receivers just keep scoring touchdowns week in, week out to kind of give me good productivity. Even though the yardage isn't there, the touchdowns are there every week. As far as Chuck, he looked pretty damn unbeatable those first 3 weeks, and then Taco knocked him off, and then he lost again last week to sit at 3-2 right now. So he's kind of on shady rocks right now. He's putting Dak in his starting lineup. No more is Kirk Cousins, the namesake of his team, in the starting lineup. He's going 4 wide receivers this week. I think that's the first time this year. And then as far as running backs, the question with Chuck is usually which running back is going to score the most points for his team. He usually has one that explodes, and the answer is usually the one that he doesn't start and sits on his bench. I'm going to pick myself this week. Moving on to Brother Bowl number 2, Mitch and Mike. Many people would probably maybe throw their name in there for this to be game of the week. Deservedly so, top 2 scoring teams in the league. Mitch is probably one of the top 2, if not the top hottest scorer in the league right now. He's just been getting a lot of points the last few weeks, thanks in large part due to, I think, DeMarco Murray. Like I mentioned last week, I think he is just doing monster things for this team, and then he draws that weak Cleveland defense this week. I expect that to continue. Antonio Brown, like I said, with myself, Ben Roethlisberger, they're just going to continue to destroy things. But I do think a down week for Mitch this week. And then moving over to Mike, he gets his Kansas City people back after the bye week. He's got a couple Chargers going tonight, and we know that Denver defense is the real deal. So I think he also has his struggles. So I think it's also a down week for Mike. So I think lower scores than they've been having, but I still think they're going to have nice weeks. I think lower scores for them would be nice scores for the rest of us. I'm going to go ahead and pick Mitch to win this one. Put them both at 4-2 on the year. Moving us to game of the week. A little bit of a surprise. Both teams are under 500, but that's why this is game of the week. This one's got some importance to it. I know it's only week 6, but Taco versus Brady. That'll put the winner at 500 and in that 6th seed for the playoffs. A little early to be talking about the playoffs, but when one of you goes to 500 and the other you drops down to 2-4, and you're down there with the lower part of that, Kokoschka Bowl talk, that's a big game. That's a meaningful game. So let's look at Taco. He's got Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees. They're going to get you a lot of stuff. Larry Fitz and Crabtree, who's just been tearing things up. Didn't think that he would be the wide receiver in Oakland, but he just seems to be grabbing touchdowns left and right out there. Moving over to Brady, since Le'Veon Bell got back, he's just been nothing but a beast. I see he's moved Sammy Coates into the starting lineup. I know I've talked about Big Ben, and same with Antonio Brown. Sammy Coates seems to be the deep threat in that offense, and we know they like to chuck the ball down the field. He's got a 40-yard catch in every game this year. Last week he started to put them together for touchdowns, so that's a dangerous combination. Cam Newton coming back, Andrew Luck, those are obviously the potential's there. They just haven't put it together this year. If they do, he's dangerous. The real question for Brady is, will Lamar Miller ever be Lamar Miller? If he does this week, then Brady wins. If he doesn't and Tevin Coleman outscores Lamar Miller for Taco, then Taco wins. I'm going to go ahead and put my bet on that this is the week Lamar Miller finally breaks out. So I'm going to take Brady as your Week 6 Game of the Week winner, move him into the playoff discussion, and move Taco back down to the bottom of the ranks, as many years have taught us, starting off hot, then falling into the depths. There you have it. Enjoy Week 6, slow children. Gordon? Alright, this is because Mitch beat me last week in the total points water bet. I drew the Daniel sign. Scott will be the thrower, filling in because Mitch lives too far away. Okay, you can stop.
That's a nice